Friday morning. We've almost made it all the way. There's 3 days left. Welcome to Get Your Horns Up, brought to you by Elite Sports Memorabilia. I am Travis Gailey, joined by Orange Blood's own Aaron Little and Nash from Texas, who loves talking them horns. Guys, 3 days, three of us. We're picking the game today. We're picking the rest of the bowl game. We got a lot on our plate today.
I feel like every show that we've done has been just leading up to this show, not just for this month, but for the entire season. It's like this is the show. Like, I hope the chat's fired up. I want chats flying left and right. I hope you guys got some good takes. I'm fired up for this one. This is the big one.
Yeah, this is definitely. I was telling Aaron before, this show can go one of two ways. It's either one of our last shows, or it's either our last show before the college football season ends for Texas, and that's a little bit of a scary thought. But you know what? I'm welcome it.
I think we're going to have some more big shows coming up, but
too.
We will get to our game picks come in just a minute. First, I do want to say good morning to the Specs chat line real quick. Sam Man in the house, Benny Rogers in the house, Zoe. Guys, I would tell you to throw in questions, but frankly, unless it's a super chat, we're not going to have time to get to it. Sam Man, of course, Sooner tears taste extra good. Yeah, Sooners kind of melted down in the Alamo Bowl, blew a big lead. Turnovers will kill you. Let that be a warning, Longhorns. Don't turn over the damn ball, and you're going to win this game. That's all.
For all the people, I told you I had a hot take on Arnold, and I'm going to be quick with it. But I told a lot of people they're gonna roast Arnold for. I thought Arnold looked good. I thought the balls. I thought what he was throwing. I thought he was throwing the ball well, and it just kind of was unfortunate circumstances. So I think Oklahoma will be all right, but it was fun to go make the memes and hit the.
It will be fine. It's a bowl game, but everything, man, everything's coming up Texas. I mean, A&M lost, OU lost. It's trending that way. We'll see.
Sam Man agreed with you, and I thought honestly, the only thing I saw from Arnold is he puts a little too much pepper on some of those passes. Some of that's just nerves. He'll calm down. He'll get better. It will continue to be a good rivalry moving forward. Right, we're going to have a lot of great games in Dallas against OU in the future. A couple news and notes. Yesterday was the Pete Kwiatkowski's turn at the press conference. He doesn't get a lot of these. He speaks like twice a year. The bowl game happens to be one of them. He said he does. The biggest thing that came out of that to me was Kwiatkowski says he's got confidence in his DBs, and they're excited to be going up against this talented wide receiver room in Washington. Rome Odunze, Jalen McMillan, Jalen Polk. But he's confident in his guys. Do you share his confidence?
I don't know. I mean, no, I'm not. I'm excited for that matchup. I don't think that the Texas corners against the Washington wide receivers, I don't think that's a matchup that Texas is going to win. But I think they can make some plays. But they need to hold up in coverage in the red zone. I'm going to talk about the red zone a lot, but that is where if they can just not get beat deep, if they can make tackles to prevent yards after the catch, they're going to allow receptions. They're going to, Washington's going to make plays, but if they can lock down a couple times in the red zone, that's kind of all that I'm really looking for, because on a whole, it's like, no, I don't share that confidence. It's like Washington's going to move the ball, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm kind of a little bit of the opposite of you. I share a little bit of confidence with the PK. I think that a lot of what Michael Penix has been able to do and you've seen his numbers dwindle because of this, I've hammered it a lot. I'm not going to keep talking about that, but you've seen his numbers fall a little bit, and it's because he relies on throwing the ball up there. It's like F it, Odunze down there somewhere, and I just think our defensive backs are going to be able to handle that.
So what I was doing a little more studying, reading. I've been reading everything I can get my hands on about this, and I stumbled across a really interesting article talking about the offensive philosophy that Ryan Grubbs and Kalen DeBoer have, and it basically boils down to these three things. They're trying to create space. They build their offense so that they create vertical stretches on the underneath defenders. I mean, horizontal stretches on the underneath defenders. In other words, they want to stretch the field out wide, which goes to Nash has been talking about all week. The running game hits the edges. They go to the edge. They go to the edge. They're trying to stretch the defenders out wide that way, and to create vertical stretches on deep defenders, which, of course, we know they take more deep shots than anybody. And all of that is done in order to create space so that when they get the ball in the hands of the receivers, they're able to win the one-on-one matchups and have space to move and operate. That is the entire crux of the offense. So it's going to be interesting to watch how PK tries to defend that. Now, the other big matchup, the other thing that came out of the news and notes is Michael Penix Jr. and the Texas defensive line two more things. One, first team safeties. We've talked about Derek Williams is out the first half because of the targeting call in the Big 12 championship game. The first 10 minutes of practice was open to the press yesterday, and the first team safeties during the open portion of practice were Michael Taft and Keaton Crawford, which, I don't know, that feels about right to me. I still think we're going to see a lot of Jaron Thompson as well. And then, of course, when Derek Williams gets back in the second half, I think we'll see a lot of him too. But,
I think the deal is Jaron affects the run game more than the other safeties. Like, I mean, that dude, he's an enforcer.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen a guy that sells out his body the way he does. But yeah, I think that sounds about right for what you'd be expecting because, and I honestly think that Washington, the main reason why they run to the edges is they're just avoiding the center. I mean, that dude's 6'2", 275. I understand he has. I'm not going to go too far into it, but it makes a lot of sense that around like 60% of the rushes go towards the tackles or outside of the tackles.
Well, yeah, it's that, but it's also just to stretch the field. They're trying to get as much space as possible, which, by the way, was the whole genesis for like the air raid offense, right? The wide, like the Mike Leach offenses, you had the wide splits with the offensive linemen. You're just trying to create as much space, make defenses defend as much space as possible. Yeah. So yeah, I do think we're going to see a lot of Michael Taft and Keaton Crawford. By the way, you know what? I do have a prop. One of my favorite props we'll get to later in the picks that I just thought of. All right, the final thing, Michael Penix Jr. is not afraid to put up bulletin board material. He spoke to the press yesterday as well. When asked about the Texas defensive line, he said, quote, "I'm not going to lie, their D-line is good, but at the same time, they haven't played our O-line. They play good ball, but I wouldn't say we're playing the 49ers D-line or the Eagles D-line, so we'll be good." And that's on top of last week when he was asked about what he remembered from last year's Alamo Bowl matchup, and he said, "I don't remember much. I just remember winning." Then, of course, the Texas defensive line is probably sick of hearing about the offensive line for Washington. Chip Brown reported the quote about the Michael Penix, what Penix had to say. And Byron Murphy II, Murph Dog, tweeting in reply, January 1st, 7:45 p.m.
We knew it was coming. I mean, he had the tweet in the drafts. We knew he was going to find a way to send it. We were just waiting for the right moment, and he finally got his moment. I don't think it's the most egregious thing ever said, but it is funny because, it's not technically an NFL defensive line, but it's like Byron Murphy and T'Vondre Sweat could be playing for the Eagles and 49ers next year, so that part's kind of funny. But Byron Murphy, he got what he wanted.
It's actually, I mean, it's really kind of funny because the first clip was taken completely out of context, right? And not out of context, but they cut his answer short, right? And immediately after saying all that stuff, he goes and starts giving, after saying, "All I remember is winning," right? He starts giving Texas a bunch of praise after that, but they don't show that part of the clip. But what I love about that is that he goes and follows that up by saying, "Yeah, but it's not like we're playing the," and then it's one thing to read it too, but if you watch him talk about that, it's not like we're playing the 49ers. He's getting a little sassy when he's saying that.
I think they're tired of the questions.
And the reason why they only played the little short clip of him saying, "I don't remember," is because he said it was sass then too. He's not afraid to throw up this bulletin board material. And I got to admit, I thought of Aaron as soon as this happened because the Texas, he just like Aaron's said multiple times this year, he doesn't get the bulletin board stuff.
Well,
I'm telling you, this Texas defensive line looks for something to get pissed off about, and they've been giving it to them.
I mean, yeah, Sandman's kind of on the same page. It's like Byron Murphy was going to tweet January 1st at 7:45 regardless. Like, maybe that tweet was getting sent regardless. It was just, what was he going to quote? Like, it could have been Michael Penix being like, yeah, man, Xavier Worthy's really fast. I'm excited to see what he does in the NFL. And Byron Murphy would be like, yep, 7:45, January 1st.
See, I feel like two things are happening, right? The fan base is running away with it, and that's what's causing Sandman to be like, Sandman's like, okay, it's just shut up, right? And I do kind of agree with that.
Literally
right?
what it said.
But I do also, on the other hand, I think that Byron Murphy is literally just trolling everybody, and like no matter like Aaron said, it does. You could say Byron Murphy is the best human being on the face of the earth. He's going to be a first overall draft pick, and he'd be like, you doubted me. You didn't think I was going to be good enough.
I don't think they're trolling. I think they genuinely get pissed. Because you know what? The defensive line was asked about Washington's O-line yesterday a lot. I think they and maybe they're looking for something, but ever since Iowa State, that was the turning point. When their offensive linemen started yapping, it's like these guys figured out, it fueled them, and they're like, oh yeah, that's how we just bring that extra little edge to the game.
Well, see, that's
whatever works. Like, I'm fine. It's whatever works. Like, I'm good with it. I'm just like that tweet was getting sent. It's like it was happening.
Travis, it's honestly what you just said is part of the reason why I have confidence in these Texas defensive back, because all they've heard for the last 3 to 4 weeks is, oh, you're going to get trashed by these Washington wide receivers. And I bet you they're sitting there, Terrence Brooks sitting there, like, I'm not as ironic saying Terrence, but Terrence Brooks sitting there going, I held a Dunze to 1 catch on 4 targets last year. What are we talking about, right?
Right.
Like, well, what are we talking about? They held them all to under 60 yards.
Exactly. But you know, the Washington people, and I've seen this on Twitter, would point out what that T'Vondre Sweat didn't do much last year either, right? In fact, there was some tweet talking about he was so overweight he hardly played, and this and that and the other. I'm like, all right. This is a different team. This is a different T'Vondre Sweat, and I think the Washington offense is different too. But you know what? 2 quick things. One, Travis Acton asking in the chat, whose jersey can we win? That's right, Travis. It's Game Picks Day, which means you will get a chance to win a free autographed jersey, compliments of Elite Sports memorabilia, and we'll tell you who a little later. So stick around for that. But I mentioned it's Game Picks. That means we got to start our picking, right? Texas, Washington, the Sugar Bowl. The Longhorns are 4-point favorites. The total, 63.5. We're going to start as we have all season long, picking Quinn Ewers' stats. Prize Picks has his line at 288.5, 288 passing yards and a half. I think we're all three going to be on the over on that one. I've got Quinn. I've been saying it for a while now. I think this is a big Quinn day. I've got him going 30 of 38, 375 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Nash, what do you think? Aaron, what do you think?
I got it. Travis, it's actually funny because like I was walking my dog yesterday, and I was like, all right, I got to start thinking of some of these lines. And I swear, I was like 30 for 38, 375. And then I pull up the doc this morning, and that's what you had. I was like, all right, I'll go 30 for 38, like 382.
Get out of my head.
Yeah, no, it was crazy. Like when I pulled up the doc, I was like, wow. But yeah, this line is too low. I just think Sark is not going to be able to resist himself from slinging it. If you give Steve Sarkisian, who was put on the planet to scheme up pass game and scheme up route concepts and just in a dome with great weapons and a great quarterback against a sketchy secondary, Steve Sarkisian was built for this moment. You cannot tell me he's going to come out here and not sling it. Quinn Ewers is going to sling this thing. So I'm going 30, 38, 382, 4 touchdowns, 1 pick. I just think the one pick, it's just like there's going to be adversity in this game. Texas is going to face adversity. I don't even like it could just be a batted ball that falls into a Washington defender. I don't even know if it's going to be a bad pick. I just like there's going to be adversity in this game. So I think Quinn throws a pick, but I think he has a big day, man. Big game Quinn. We've seen it all year. So I'm going 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, it's not just all year. It's been really all of his career. Like this is going to be one of the things I think is going to follow Quinn, and they're going to like might end up if especially if he comes back to Texas, might propel him really high in the NFL draft. This dude has. I'll go over it a little bit later when I get to my. I love going over on this prop line.
Yeah, I like this over a lot.
Yeah, I got 31 attempts, 42 attempts, 31 completions. That puts him right around the 74% completion mark. 410 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. I think it's going to be a great day through the air for Quinn. Like you said, like everything has been building up to this moment for Steve Sarkisian. Like not just like literally everything in his career has built up to this moment. He talks about how he wishes he didn't give up that Washington team to Chris Peterson and move on to USC too early, right? This is Sark's moment, this game.
Yeah, I think the one thing is just looking at the matchup, how does this go wrong for the Texas offense? Because I've just been thinking, I've been like, every time I think of Texas offense versus Washington defense, I just keep thinking positive. I'm like, I think they're not going to get pressure. And if they blitz, Quinn's good against the blitz. Sark is going to be well prepared for the blitz. I think the receivers are locked in. Worthy should be healthy. Quinn plays well in big games. How does this go wrong? Like in a world where Washington wins this game 28-17, like how does that happen? Does anyone like? Is there an answer?
It's turnovers. That's I mean, you look no further than the OU game against hell. Look at OU last night, and then look at the Red River Shootout. It's turnovers. That's how it happens. So if Texas comes out rusty and sluggish on offense, they turn the ball over. Yeah, it could go wrong. This is still a good team. I mean, Jesus Christ, we're talking about an undefeated Pac-12 champion in what was probably the Pac-12's best year. I mean, yeah, there's plenty to be concerned about. There's plenty of ways this goes pear-shaped for Texas.
Well, I've got plenty of concerns. They're just all on one side of the ball, which I think is kind of weird.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not concerned about the defense because one thing that travels, one thing that plays well in when even after a long break, defense. So,
it's just like their defense. I think the only way Texas loses this game is if our defense just doesn't show up. I just can't conceive of a possible way where Washington holds Texas below 30 points.
And by defense, you mean secondary, right? Because we're not.
No, just the entire defense as a whole.
Yeah, well,
I'm not
I don't even think that's a possibility.
Yeah, which is why that goes to show about the level of confidence but I just think that's the only way.
I mean, you're talking about Tavondre Sweat, Byron Murphy, Anthony Hill, Jalen Ford, all of them not showing up. Yeah, I don't see that happening.
I mean, it would have to be another OU.
But it would. That's what I'm saying. It's turnovers. That's the concern here, right? That's what changes this game for Texas. So if they hold on to the ball, bueno. You guys each have Ewers with a pick. I don't like putting that into the universe. So I don't pick picks for Ewers, whether I think he may have one or not. I don't know. But he's been very good holding on to the ball outside of the OU game. So I'm not picking a pick for Ewers anyway.
Yeah, Quinn is one of the most safest quarterbacks in all of college football.
Now, Xavier Worthy, by the way, talk about last year's Alamo Bowl game, struggled in the Alamo Bowl game. We did not know it at the time. His broken hand had to have been playing a big part of that, though. Underdog has his line set at 69.5 receiving yards. Prize Picks has it 72.5. At least that's what it was when I made the Prize Picks, 72.5 yards receiving. I think that's low. I think, and in fact, I've already put in my pick here that I'm about to give you, and I think I'm low on this. 1, Washington's secondary is crap. 2, they don't tackle. That's a bad combination when you have someone like Xavier Worthy who is phenomenal with the ball in his hands,
Yeah,
fast as all get out, and great at operating in space. And he's got a coordinator who's good at getting him the ball in space. I think this is a big Worthy game. I had 10 catches for 125 and 2 touchdowns. That's 12.5-yard average. Simple math. Got it. Nailed it. The 2 touchdowns, I think he could have some big plays, which is why I think I'm probably low on this. I've got him 125. I think I'm low on that, but I would definitely take the over on the prop bets. Nash, go ahead.
I think going off history, you probably wouldn't think that you'd be low. I mean, he really hasn't had as many 100-yard games as you'd think he would have, but at the same time, I mean, just to what I logged in, and when we were doing when we were going over the prop line, I just got to Worthy's line, and first I was just like, and this happens sometimes. I've done this a lot this year. I'll just get a gut feeling, and I'll go with it. I'm going with 169 yards. I kind of just changed the catches here because I think one of those will be a long one. 9 catches, 169 yards, 1 touchdown. I think that you go look at like last year, he had 3 drop touchdowns. There were 2 that were on the side that were back-to-back plays. Now you're only going to get one of those if you catch one of those. It's only possible. But then the other one, and there was so much missed opportunity last year, and then Quinn missing him on the slant. It's just, I don't think. Watching last year's Washington game, it looks like a completely different wide receiver Worthy. Like as far as attitude, effort, just body. Every single thing says that dude is a different person. It just doesn't even look like the same wide. I don't know. I just can't keep reiterating enough. I think Worthy's gonna have a big day.
Yeah, when it comes to people actually, in here now watching the show or watching on rewatch, first hit the like button, really helps us out. Second, if you're actually playing on Prize Picks or playing on underdogs, I do like the Quinn line more than the receiver line because I just think it's going to be spread out, so it's easier just to dial in on the Quinn yards and the receiver yards. But I just think they are going to be scared to death of Worthy beating them deep. So I think it's going to be what you were talking about, Travis. He's going to have room after the catch, and I think they're just going to want to Sark's going to want to get the ball in his hands and then see what he can do with it. I mean, they're going to have their normal Xavier Worthy plays where he's running down the field and they're going to take their shots. But I think we are going to see a lot of Worthy underneath. We're going to see some screens. We're going to see him getting the ball and just forcing that Washington secondary to make tackles, which they haven't always been the best at this year. So I'm going 9 catches, 120 yards, 1 touchdown. From an actual placing props perspective, I like the Quinn line better, but I think all the receivers are gonna get fed in this one.
Yeah, I think to build off what you just said, I think you're going to see Steve Sarkisian kind of attack the edge of the line of scrimmage with Worthy, put him in motion a lot, because I think Texas' speed is going to challenge Washington's defense a lot, on top of the missed tackles and all that stuff. And I just think sending Worthy out there, his speed is going to put a lot of defenders in conflict, and that's another reason why I think Keelan Robinson and Jaden Blue are going to have such a big part in this game.
I like it. By the way, one person who we're not picking, but I do worry about, I don't think is going to have a huge game is Jatavian Sanders, because Washington safeties are probably the best part of their secondary. They're good tacklers. They're, going up the middle, up the seams, I don't think is the way to attack this defense. So I'm not sure that we're going to see a lot of JT Sanders. The leading rusher is our next pick. Now, I meant this to be the leading rusher for Texas, who would lead Texas in carries. And Aaron went through and put in the actual line from Prize Picks of Dylan Johnson.
Well, it doesn't have a line for Texas.
Yeah, he just had the highest line that I saw of all the running backs.
Right. I got it. I got you. And that was Prize Picks or Underdog?
That was on Prize Picks, I think.
All right. That's moved up then, because I did a Prize Picks CFP pick over the weekend, and it was 73.5 for Dylan Johnson. So 76.5 for that. By the way, I'm taking the under on that. I jumped on that quickly. The only way I think he gets the over is if he has one big run. But, I definitely took the under on that. As far as Texas's leading rusher, Nash, go first. I want you to go first.
I got Jaden Blue, 13 carries, 120 yards, 1 touchdown. I think it's going to be a very similar game to Texas Tech. I mean, I mentioned the speed, putting the Texas speed and putting defenders in conflict with Washington. No better way to do that with Jaden Blue. Jaden Blue is a guy that can catch the football. He can do a lot of things. He's also a tough runner. So when you talk about his toughness running the football, that doesn't pair well with, or it pairs well for Texas. It doesn't pair well for Washington when you talk about their missed tackles. I think his speed is going to end up trying. That's just going to be the thing that puts it over the edge for him to have some success versus Washington. And I also think we're going to use Keelan Robinson a little bit, like we did versus Oklahoma State.
I agree with you. I think they're going to use. I think they're going to use all three backs. I would love for Blue to be the leading rusher, like as far as carries and yards go. I think it's going to be Baxter.
I think Baxter's going to lead too. I want to say that, but I just don't think I don't think he has a speed that gives the access to putting the defenders in conflict the way that Blue does.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, it's going to be Baxter with the most carries. I think it's only going to be 14. I've got 14 for 83 yards. Like I said, I just think they're going to lean heavier on the pass because they know they can have success through the air and you can generate explosives and you can get big plays. And that's just what this offense wants to do at the end of the day. There might be a time late in the game where they need to just kind of start handing the ball off and grind the clock. I think that will be CJ Baxter, but I think they use everyone. But I am going to give Baxter 2 touchdowns because I think he's the guy in the red zone they're going to give the ball to. And I think Texas will be able to run the ball in the red zone in this one.
So I almost went with Jaden Blue initially too, just because of Washington's tackling problems and his speed, being able to get around. I almost went with Jaden Blue, but when I was thinking about game script, I've talked about how I think Texas gets out to a big lead, then they turn to the run, right? Which is why going back to Quinn Ewers, going into the Big 12 championship game, I had Ewers with a lot of passing attempts, because I thought they were just going to put on the gas and try. This time, I don't think Sark's as concerned about putting up points like that. I mean, he wants points. I'm not saying that. I'm saying I don't think he's concerned about showing others what Texas can do to get into the playoffs, right? So I think if they get the lead, they are going to throttle back and lean on the run to try and milk the clock and wear them out, which is why I actually dialed back my predictions on Ewers pass attempts. But to that point, that means I think they're going to go with the bruiser, more of the bruiser. Not that CJ Baxter, he's got some heft to him, though, certainly more than Jaden Blue and Keelan Robinson, right? So I've got CJ Baxter with 20 carries for 120. Which is still pretty damn good day. 6 yards per carry.
Yeah,
that's
120 yards in the cultural playoffs. if you're complaining about that, I mean,
no. Yeah, nobody would. I think he's going to have a pretty good game. I mean, they're going to have the runs in early too, but then late is when he really starts pouring it on. 20 for 120. If he hits that, by the way, Texas is winning. I'm just saying.
I mean, it's kind of funny. Like, the Texas has almost suffered from success this year. And what I mean by that is like Steve Sarkisian, because Texas is so multiple and so versatile, he likes to go and run the ball late in games. And what that's done is our passing numbers maybe don't look like Quinn or maybe don't look like Michael Penix and all that stuff. And so what you have is the media, they go, oh my God, Washington is number 1 in the nation passing yards. Texas is 18th. Meanwhile, if you flip that and you type in, okay, well, what did they do versus the ranked AP? Texas is number 1 in the nation in passing yards total versus AP, and Washington is 18th. A little ironic, but yeah, we just suffer from our own success.
Yep, I'm with you. All right, first touchdown of the game. This one is, I mean, it's an oldie but goodie, and it's an oldie but goodie because it is good. How can you not do anything but pick Adonai Mitchell to get a touchdown, the first touchdown of the game? All he does is score touchdowns. So give me AD Mitchell.
I'm doing it too, Travis. I'm jumping on the Adonai Mitchell train. Plus 550 if you want to actually bet first touchdown. That'll be fun. But I mean, the guy, this is what he does. He scores touchdowns in the college football playoff. This is his thing. This is why he transferred. This is why he's going to be on the field. He's going to show up. And all the Texas players are going to be like, whoa, this is crazy. Look at this. Like, the stadium's packed. It says college football playoff on the scoreboard. Like, there's so much media on the sideline. Look at all the cameras. Adonai Mitchell's going to be like, yeah, I've scored touchdowns in like how many of these games, like 3 or 4. Like this is just kind of what we do. Like I'm going to score a touchdown. But I will say he's only plus 550. That's not like the most fun for a first touchdown sweat. If you want a real sweat, Gunnar Helm 27-1. That could be fun. That could be real fun because you never know what Steve Sarkisian has schemed up, especially in the red zone. He could have a play where Gunnar Helm just leaks out to the back of the end zone, is uncovered. So 27-1 is a long shot. I kind of like that too.
Yeah, 80 is going to show up to the stadium. He's going to,
Yeah.
I've been here before, but I know this is going to come up as a surprise to some and maybe to all. I'm not picking Adonai Mitchell in this. I've picked Adonai Mitchell a ton this year, and it's funny. He's probably going to do it the one time that I don't pick him, but I'm going with Keelan Robinson, and you asked how could I not pick Adonai Mitchell? It's because it's strategic, okay? You have Keelan Robinson. He's taking kickoff, so he could easily take the opening kickoff for the distance, right? This is a guy that I mentioned. He's got speed. He's I think Steve Sarkisian is going to use him similar to Oklahoma State. So you know what? I'm going with Keelan Robinson, and also I do think that there's a chance that Washington has heard all this stuff about Adonai Mitchell having a touchdown catch in every single game, and they're going to say, you know, if there's one thing we're going to do, we may win, we may lose, but we're not getting a touchdown catch.
15-1, by the way, Nash. 15-1 on Keelan Robinson first touchdown.
I was going to ask, so thank you. We're melding minds right here.
Yeah, I told you, get out of our heads. All right, next up on the list, Michael Penix Jr. He's not facing the Eagles defensive line or the 49ers defensive line. He is facing Byron Murphy and T'Vondre Sweat, though. Nash, go ahead and start us off. What do you think? The prize picks line is 313 yards for Michael Penix Jr. What do you think he's going to get to?
I just saw Aaron's note about that. I don't got a number for that. I'm going to go 0 rushing yards, 0 attempts, 0 touchdowns on the rushing. I got him 21 of 36, 295 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. It's just Michael Penix. This would actually, like, compared to all I've talked about how he's done recently, this would be one of his better games recently. So I don't want to hear it about, oh, you're down too low on Michael Penix. No. He's also not really, when you go to the ranked AP, I think that this is going to be a lot. If you remember last year, UCLA, they played UCLA, Washington did. I think it's going to be very similar to UCLA, Washington, except for I don't think Washington's come back in the game later on.
Yeah, Travis, you mentioned the actual line, 313. I think that's too low. I just think they are going to put. They've been watching I know we disagreed on this a little bit, but they've been watching all the film and they've been seeing T'Vondre Sweat, Byron Murphy, Jalen Ford, and just been like, oh my God, like Barron Sorrell containing the rush game. And they're going to say, you know what? Michael Penix has been our guy for a long time. He was in New York for the Heisman ceremony. We love our offensive line. We love our wide receivers. I think they are going to put the entire game on the shoulders of Michael Penix, and I think he's going to handle it well for the most part. I've got 35 for 47 pass attempts, 385 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 pick. Thought about going 2 picks. I ended up doing 1 pick. I've got a different bold prediction later, but I think he's going to play pretty well, and I think Texas is going to be focused on not giving up the big plays. I think there's going to be a lot of completions for Michael Penix in this game. He's going to force his deep shots, where I think that's where the incompletions and possibly the turnovers will come, but I think they're going to have some stuff schemed up, so I do like the over on the 313 yards. I think they're just going to I think he's going to get the 313 just on volume, because I really think they're going to come out just slinging it, and if they don't, they're going to find out quickly that they should just start slinging it, because that's how they're going to keep pace in this game.
So where we disagreed was that you think they're just not even going to attempt to run the ball. And that's where I think they're going to come out trying to run the ball. That's, and you go back and you look at Michael Penix's numbers throughout the season. He's only had like more than 40 pass attempts twice, 2 or 3 times all season. And it's not like they haven't had some close games, right? I mean, 7 one-score games in there. So it's not like they could just milk the clock and hand it to Dylan Johnson a ton and let him do all the damage. So they like to run the ball. They want to run the ball. I think they will continue to run the ball. But I do have Penix throwing the ball a lot just because they're going to be playing from behind.
So Here's
it's
what's interesting, y'all. Or my bad. Go on.
Yeah, well, it's funny. Aaron, you've got 47 pass attempts for Penix because you think they're just not even going to attempt to run the ball. And I'm saying they are going to attempt to run the ball, and I've got them at 48 attempts, which, I mean, if you give them 60, 65 plays, that means they're not running the ball a ton. And maybe I've overdone the attempts on here. But I do think they're playing from behind in this game. And I think they're going to abandon the run during the game, but I think they're going to start out trying to run the ball. So I've got them with 30 for 48, 350 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 2 picks.
And just before you go, Nash, just once again, like I don't have Washington with like 6 carries in this game. Like I don't think their first 10 plays are going to be passes. I just think they're going to be slinging it. Like I don't think we're going to see a ton of like first down runs over and over and over. Is my main point.
All right.
What's interesting is y'all both have them at 47 passing attempts, and they have not gone over 42 once this year.
No, I know.
It's a complete like last year. They're hitting the 50s, mid to high 40s consistently. This year it has been typical. I mean, like to Travis, they're going to try and run the football. They've like Kalen DeBoer has kind of almost had a little bit of philosophical shift the last few weeks of the season. He's really been trying to hammer the run through. But I do also think that, to what Travis said, I think that the game, Texas getting ahead, because that's what I think is going to happen. I think that's going to lend itself to Washington trying to pass the football a lot.
That's why I was saying that. I mean, you're right. They haven't. 42 is the most attempts they've had, but they haven't been playing from behind this season.
Oh, and the reason why I have them at 36 is because I think Texas is going to say, you know what, we're going to take the ball, we're going to hold it, we're going to run the football, and we're going to limit how much you can even throw the football.
Which is why I'm probably a little high on the attempts, but because I do think that's a possibility. Game control, clock management could play a big factor in this prop especially, but in the game, we'll see how many plays Washington can actually eke out. I don't know. It's and they're not a rush speed offense. Like they're not one that just gets to the ball, play. They're not like a Gundy or, Art Briles back in the day. That's not their style. So I probably am over on 48, but I do think he's going to pass a lot. And I do think he gets more than 313.
So what are y'all's rushing lines for Penix?
Oh, I've got negative 3 yards. I will say I do miss Major Alexander in the chat. I hate that it had to be that way, but I'm going -4. Michael Penix rushing yards.
I've said ever since that point 2. I'm giving him 2. Did he abandon the show?
I think
he's out on OB. It's unfortunate.
I honestly do kind of respect it a little bit.
Was it because
if you're going to say you're going to do something and you do it? Like I respect that.
Was it because we said he doesn't run the ball?
Yeah.
It was because we pushed back on him.
Hasn't been back since. Oh well. All right, let's move on though.
Well, God, that's good.
hop along.
All right. Well, good for you, Major Alexander. 2 rushing yards for Michael Penix. Favorite prop. I'm not a prop guy, so I don't even think this is a prop, but and it could actually, you know what? I'm just going to sit out the prop guy. I'm going to move what I was going to say over to my one wild prediction, which is coming up.
I was going to say, Travis, what books do you bet on where you can find odds on that? But I will say, okay, so mine, I've got Jalen McMillan over 5 receptions. This one is available on Underdog. I just did a simple pick 2 on Underdog. I did it a while ago because I got Quinn's passing yards at 280 before it moved up to like 288. I've got Quinn more than 280, and then which I think Nash might talk about, and then Jalen McMillan over 5 catches. He had 13 targets against Oregon. I think we're going to see a similar game plan for Washington that they had against Oregon in the passing game. But 13 targets versus Oregon, and he was feasting.
Yeah.
I think Texas is going to be comfortable giving them a little bit of a cushion just because you want to make them move down the field and then beat your red zone defense. Texas has a great red zone defense, but I think McMillan over 5 receptions. I don't know. This could really come back to bite me, and it will if he doesn't get there. Trust me. But I like the over on 5 receptions.
No, I think that's a great pick.
Yeah. I think it just comes back to bite. I don't think it's going to come back to bite you. I mean, he had 7 targets for 5 receptions versus Washington State at 26 yards, maybe, but I don't think
This
it's
was in
going.
a dome.
And he
And
will.
we talked about the game script. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know. I just like it.
I think he's going to get that. So you mentioned I got the over for 288.5 passing yards for Quinn Ewers. This just when you're talking about Quinn Ewers in big time games, right? This is the one thing. Like I mentioned on top, this is one of the things that's going to propel him in draft boards later on. Versus Oklahoma in 2022, this is the closest that he's got, and it's actually dangerously close. It's 0.5 yards away. He had 289 passing yards, and it's a very important note on this because a lot of people go, "Oh, well, it's just because you're passing a lot." Well, we were up ahead quite a lot in the Oklahoma game, so that would lend itself to having lower numbers. 346 yards in 2023 versus Washington, 369 yards versus Bama, 134 yards in one quarter in 2022, 349 yards in 2023, and versus Oklahoma State in the championship game, 452 yards. So I think Quinn Ewers. Now you could also go and point out the TCU numbers, and if I have that right here, TCU was no, that's not. That's from okay. I don't got the Quinn. I do the 171. So you could point out the TCU game, but I would also go to say there was Jatavian Sanders dropping passes. I think even Steve Sarkisian's mentioned that wasn't one of his best games as a game caller. Quinn Ewers he shows up in big time games, and I think that he's going to go above 288.
All right, let's go to our one wild prediction. Aaron, start us off there.
Yeah, I think
We're bold. Sorry.
I think Texas is going to have a lead late in this game, and where I talked about, I think Washington's going to put this entire game on Michael Penix's shoulders and the offensive line's shoulders, and I think they do a good job for the most part. But I do think, like we talked about, if the name of the game is turnovers, and I think it is, and the name of the game is avoiding negative plays on offense, sacks will kill drives. I think Texas is in a better position to stay ahead of the chains. So I think there is going to be some times where Washington finds themselves in the 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9. I think they send Anthony Hill off the edge to Michael Penix's blind side, and we get a strip sack from Anthony Hill late in the game, maybe to seal it. But Anthony Hill strip sack, crowd goes insane. I'm gonna go my bold prediction there.
Love it, Nash.
I'm going with the man who has taken offense multiple times this year, Byron Murphy, going to get a multiple sack game. I do think I'm going to be honest. I do think Byron Murphy, whether they said anything or not, he was going to have motivation against the Joe Moore. Because this is if you're an alpha, you want to go against alphas, right? You want to go against the best so that you can say I'm that dude, right? And I think that that's Byron Murphy, and I think that this is the game that he's really going to be like, nobody's gotten their paws on you. That's going to be me.
So my original, I like it, and if he gets 2 sacks, I've said this week I do think this is a Byron Murphy game.
Well,
I think they're going to be so
clear,
focused on.
I'm counting 1.5 as multiple.
Yeah, I'm with you. We'll give that to you if it's 1.5. That's fine. I do think this is a B Murph game. I like the matchup for him. I originally had put that I think Arch Manning gets in the game as my one bold prediction. That Texas gets a lead, and then Arch comes out in front of the home crowd and gets in the game. I actually think I'm switching my one bold prediction to this, though. We talked about at the top of the show, Michael Taft was running with the ones at the safeties. We've talked about Quinn Ewers being a big game player. Michael Taft is a big game player to the point where he had, 2 picks against Ewers in the state high school championship game in Arlington? Michael Taft, he had a pick in the Big 12 championship game. Michael Taft gets a pick against Michael Penix Jr. in the Sugar Bowl Monday. That's my one bold prediction.
I like what you said, and I like what Gage Sheets said. Gage Sheets, Malik Muhammad getting an interception. Love that. Travis, Michael Taft getting an interception. Love that. So you know what? Those are my 2 picks for my 2 interceptions for Michael Penix.
There you go. See, synergy coming together right there.
Let's all come together.
Corporate word, synergy. All right, this time, fellas, it is time for our picks. You've asked the question, by the way, in the chat, and the answer is this. you have a chance to win a Kelvin Banks Jr. jersey, and it's simple. The easy way to do it is to, when the show is over, first off, well, before that you even get to that, there's 3 things you got to do. 1, hit the like button. Simple and easy. You can do that right now. 2, subscribe to the channel, which you'll want to do anyway because there's a lot more great content coming up throughout the day, including Anwar, who has his old-fashioned sports show from New Orleans. He's on the ground covering the team for Orange Bloods, of course. And then 3, when the show's over, you go to the comment section of this video and leave your score prediction. The first person to correctly predict the score of this game wins a free autographed Mike Kelvin Banks Jr. jersey, compliments of Elite Sports memorabilia. And if you're not confident in being able to pick the correct score, and frankly, I don't think you should be confident because we've been trying to give away these jerseys all season long and only one person has done it.
It happened quick early on. Nobody.
It did. And then we switched it up and we're like, okay, great. You can win. It hasn't happened since. The way you guarantee you get a Kelvin Banks autographed jersey is to whip out your phone, scan this QR code, and just go buy the damn thing. A, it's worth it because it supports Kelvin Banks, and he's a stud. B, future NFL player, the price of these things is going to go up over the future. Texas has 1 more year left of watching Kelvin Banks man the left side. And he's going to have a great matchup going against Braylon Trice, the Washington edge rusher this week. It's going to be fun to watch that. But finally, if you're not into the Kelvin Banks jersey, look at Nash's Wall. Look at all the great products that are available. Now, not all of those are available to you, but most of them are. Like Anthony Hill Jr., ESM family member. Quinn Ewers, ESM family member. Adonai Mitchell, who's going to score the first touchdown, ESM family member. Jatavian Sanders. Jordan Whittington, Mr. Longhorn himself. I mean, if anyone ever loved Texas more than that dude, I don't know who they are. The list goes on and on and on. There's a lot of Byron Murphy, Tavondre Sweat, both ESM family members. Go check it out. I see one person has already scanned the code. Do yourself a favor. The rest of you go check it out. It's well worth it. I promise you, you will not regret it. It's time for us, though, to give our 5 people scan it. That's awesome.
Well, before we do that, a quick clarification. You want to get those score predictions in the comment section after this ends. So as soon as it ends, refresh all the comments, all the predictions going on right now in the chat.
Right.
We won't be able to keep track of those. So go down the comment section.
We love the Specs chat line, but we're going off the comments in the comments section of the video once the show's done. Just hit refresh.
Just get those over. Just do those again as soon as the show ends.
So save it. Save your score predictions. Put them in the comments. It's time for us, though, to give our predictions. I put this out in my column on orangebloods.com, so I'm not, I'll go first because there's no drama here for me. I've said it all for all month. I've been saying this. I think Quinn Ewers gets this team out to a big lead. I think Sark puts the ball in his hands. They take advantage of it. Texas builds a quick lead early, and they just grind out Washington after that. Texas, I think, wins this one easily. Again, my heart tells me I'm going too far. Like I feel it just feels weird saying that. Like the angsty person in me wants to be like, hold back. But when I look at these matchups, when I look at Washington's defense, when I look at how Texas has been playing, if they play like they've been playing, they've hit their peak at the end of the season. If they continue to hold on to that, and I like where their headspace has been since they've gotten to New Orleans, I think Texas wins this one easily. So 42-28, Texas wins the Sugar Bowl and moves on to the national championship game.
Yeah, I got Texas 44-23. I think that I'm right there with you. I think this is going to be another easy game. I think that really, so we had Texas lost versus Oklahoma, and then we had some shaky weeks after that. And then we've seen, I think that really woke the team up, right? And I think in particular the TCU game woke us up. Because, and also you get to count Kansas State because those are 2 games that we're close, right? We're close to giving that one away. And for all that you can say about this, you can say the same things about Washington. So I don't even want to hear that. But I just I agree with you, Travis. I think that this team they're different. They're very focused. They're peaking at the right time. Like all these things, I'm not worried about the time off. Losing some of your heat, so to speak. Yeah, I think that Texas is. I think Texas is going to have a good day, and I think honestly, what's going to happen is Washington's going to get like three field goals, and then towards the end of the game, the reason why they don't have so many points is because they're going to go for it on fourth down because they're in a spot where they have to go for it on fourth down, and they can't settle for a field goal, and because we know Texas is one of the most stingy run defenses, or not run stingy red zone defenses, and Aaron will talk more about this in a second, but yeah, that's just how I see this game going.
Everyone's got Texas in the 40s. I'm going Texas 42, Washington 37. I think it's like, if anyone's been watching the show up at this point, I've been a little higher on the Washington offense out of everyone here. But I do think it comes down to the red zone. Nash, Texas 10th in red zone defense, touchdown percentage allowed. Washington's offense is 19th in scoring touchdowns in the red zone. So that's a really big matchup to watch. I just think Texas offense is going to have a slightly easier time against the Washington defense than the Washington offense will against the Texas defense. But I do think we're going to get a really good version of this Washington offense. I know you guys might disagree with me a little bit, but
no, I love the Washington offense.
Yeah, it's just like we've got the splits and everything, but look, he was missing Jalen McMillan. Like he was missing an offensive lineman. They played one game in a downpour. He did have the flu for a little bit. I know it's a lot of excuses and maybe some more than others, but in a dome with this much time to prepare against an okay Texas secondary, I mean, a lot of good players, but I just think the Washington receivers are better than the Texas defensive backs. So I think Washington's offense has a good day, but I think the Texas defense is able to make one or two big plays, maybe late in the game. I do think Texas is able to play with a lead, and I just have a lot of confidence in Sark and Quinn in the offense in this spot. So I'm going to go Texas 42, Washington 37. Texas covers, and I like the over quite a bit here.
Yeah, it's certainly logical to pick a one-score game. I mean, it's 4-point spread. Washington is one of the highest scoring teams. Your prediction makes way more logical sense than what I'm predicting. I'm just I don't know. I'm kind of very bullish on Texas for whatever reason. And if it is a one-score game, I trust Texas's defense to come up with a stop more than I trust Washington.
I do too. Yeah, that's the final reason why I'm picking Texas to win for that reason. I think Texas defense will make enough plays. I don't think they'll make a bunch of plays, but I think they will make more plays than Washington.
Right.
Yeah, that's something that, like I mentioned, I think yesterday on yesterday's show where we were talking about. Man, I think if we need it, right? Even if the defense is having a bad day, if you need a stop, right? I think this is a defense that's going to be able to dial up and give you one. And I think that when it all counts, right? This team is going to show. They're going to show up and they're going to come through and give us a win.
So that's it. Those are our score predictions. For you to give your score prediction, again, wait for the end of the show. Hit refresh and leave it in the comments section of the video, not the Specs chat line. We do love the Specs chat line. We got a Specs chat coming in from Jay Lee, a $5 super chat. Thank you, Jay Lee, saying if this ends up being the last game, and hush your mouth, Jay, then can we give the jersey away to whoever was closest? It's a good question, Jay. It's not one we can answer. That's one we'd have to run through Brandon and ask him and see what it's his inventory.
I think we would at least want to do the national championship, regardless of who's in it. We'd want to just do score predictions for that. I think
that's fair too. So There you go. We'll see. We'll ask Brandon. We'll ask Elite Sports Memorabilia about it, about if he's wanting to just give it away. I don't know. We'll find out. But I appreciate the question. If you are heading to New Orleans, I've talked about this. You need to stock up because it's hard to find alcohol in New Orleans. So you want to make sure you hit your specs before you get across that border into Louisiana. I mean, they're really strict about alcohol there. They do not like alcohol in the French Quarter. So hit specs on your way. Find you some good craft beer, some fine wine, some good spirits. I love me some good spirits. Or hell, it is New Year's Eve coming up, right? You've got New Year's Eve Sunday night. You've got Texas in the Sugar Bowl Monday night. That's a lot to celebrate if you're staying at home. You do not want to run out. So go hit Specs Online or the Specs app and just have it delivered. Save yourself the hassle.
you're needing, Specs same-day delivery can save the day with our Specs app or online shopping. From world-class wines to hard-to-find spirits and craft beers to gourmet foods, delicious snacks, and spectacular sweets. It's Specs. Cheers to savings.
All right, real quick, we're going to pick the Sugar Bowl, now the Rose Bowl next, and then we'll go through a couple of other games. But first, Wilderness 81. Will there be a show on Monday? No, we will not be doing a show on Monday.
But we'll have the watch along and the post-game show. Yeah.
We'll be doing the watch along and the post-game show on OB Live. Jeff Ketchum and Chad Hastings will be doing that. That'll be a lot of fun. You'll want to make sure you join those. And then, of course, Anwar will be on the post-game show Monday from the Sugar Bowl Superdome. So there's a lot there. And then we'll be right back here Tuesday morning, wrapping up the Sugar Bowl, looking ahead to the national championship. That's what's going on there. Talking about the Rose Bowl, who will Texas play? Michigan versus Alabama. Michigan are 2-point favorites. Over under, the total set at 44.5. We're going to break this down a little bit, but let's be quick about this, guys, because we are running out of time here. Jalen Milroe is an interesting one, right? I mean, he has come on this year as the season has progressed. He went from being benched against USF the week following the Texas game to now he's just like, ooh, everybody loves Jalen Milroe. But, his passing stats aren't huge. So the over-under set at 236.5 as a Prize Picks line. That feels like way more to me than he's been hitting, even as he's progressed. I've got him going 15 to 22 for 180 yards and a touchdown. I do have him going 52 yards on the ground with 15 carries and 2 more touchdowns. So I've got Milroe counting for 3 touchdowns total, but 180 passing yards, 52 rushing yards. Nash, what do you think?
Yeah, picking Travis's second most hated player in college football behind Terrence Brooks. I'm going to go with the 15 completions on 25 attempts for Jalen Milroe, 230 yards, 2 touchdowns, 12 carries, 65 yards rushing, 1 touchdown. So 3 touchdown day for
I don't
Milroe.
hate Milroe. Why do you say that?
Travis, that 236 is a combined line. It's his rushing and his passing, which
thank you.
Which is about what you have.
Okay, good, thank you.
Yeah, it's really close to what Travis put.
Yeah, I think he has a pretty average day. I just really like the Michigan defense. I'm going 172 through the air, 42 on the ground, 1 passing touchdown, 1 rushing touchdown, 2 picks for Milroe.
Love it. Now, J.J. McCarthy, on the other hand, a lot of talk about him being a high draft pick, like very toolsy quarterback. Scouts love him. You know what, though? He's another one who hasn't been throwing up crazy, insane stats, especially late. Now, I think he was dealing with an injury late. Correct me if I'm wrong about that, anyone, or in the chat line. But I think he was kind of slowed by an injury. I don't know. I could be wrong about that.
I think his injury was Connor Stallion's been kicked off the staff, but
maybe so. Maybe so. I don't have a huge day for J.J. McCarthy. I've got him going 17 to 21. They're going to want to rush the ball. It's Michigan after all. 17 to 21 for 170 and a touchdown. I do have him, though, getting 10 carries for 35 yards and a touchdown running the ball. I think he's an underrated runner. Prize Picks had the over-under on his, or more than, less than, on his rushing at 15 yards. I jumped all over that because he's actually sneaky athletic and will tuck it and run. I think he will be forced to tuck it and run quite a bit in this game. So 10 carries, 35 yards, and a touchdown on the ground.
I like that 15.5. The only concern there is the sacks. I hate how the sacks are negative in college football, but
horrible.
Yeah, it's Saban defense with this much time to prepare. It's scary, but I like J.J. McCarthy. He's been in these type of games before. 19 for 27, 210 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. I think he takes care of the ball, which is huge. I like him in this spot, but it's hard to be overconfident when you give a Saban defense this much time to prep for an offense that just doesn't scare you too much.
Yeah, I think he takes care of the football, but at the same time, it's a Saban defense. I got him throwing an interception, 1 touchdown, 18 completions on 25 targets, 185 yards, 6 carries, 20 yards. Now, what is interesting is I don't pay attention that much. I was just kind of going off the lines. I was actually kind of interested how close I was to the prop line that you put up with the 188.5. I honestly really wasn't paying attention to it, so I was just kind of
there you go.
Hey,
nailed it right on there.
Yeah, maybe
right.
The prop gods are speaking to me this year. Who knows?
We talked about Michigan wanting to run the ball, and Lord, do they love to run the ball. Blake Corum, though, the prop stats, and for those of
That
you,
surprised me.
yeah. So Aaron put these in this morning after I sent the doc out last night, and I didn't get to look at them. I'm shocked that the props have Blake Corum only getting 77.5 yards rushing. That's a lot of respect for Alabama's defense. Probably more than they deserve, if we're being honest. Just saying. I think Blake Corum gets a lot of carries. I've got him with 26 totes for 102 yards and a touchdown.
He got held
I think,
to 52 yards against Iowa, which is pretty interesting. But that game was super ugly. I'm going 25 carries. I think they've got to pound the rock in this game. They've got to try 93 yards and 1 touchdown.
Yeah, I got 23 carries, 90 yards, 2 touchdowns. I think losing Iowa, that was a weird thing, and they didn't have Zach Zinter for that game, but I think not having Zach Zinter versus Alabama is going to be a little bit more of an issue.
I love it. Yeah, Zach Zinter is a huge blow for Michigan. It really
that was
is.
a huge loss for them, man.
And their offensive line has struggled since he went out. So that's I got to tell you, we'll get to the final score here in a bit, but I've gone back and forth on this game so many times. I still don't like where I ended up. It's just crazy. But let's do one bold prediction, one wild prediction. Nash, start us off. What you think? What do you think is going to happen?
On the note of Connor Stallions, I think he is going to be spotted in attendance at the Rose Bowl. I don't think it's going to be a Michigan thing where he's got to deal with Michigan, but he's going to be like, you know what, damn it, I had a hand in this team getting here, and I'm going to see it.
Wouldn't that be hilarious if they found him in the stands wearing like a fake mustache and a hat? And sunglasses?
I was going to say with those the glasses that are like a totally fake mustache, right?
His Western Michigan shirt on. That would be hilarious if they spotted him in the stands. I feel like this is going to be some kind of Harbaugh. My one bold prediction is some kind of Harbaugh thing. Like the dude's a bit
interesting.
Interesting. He's an interesting character, right? So he's going to do something that will make noise. The only thing I could think of was, like maybe he snubs Saban while walking off the field. He doesn't shake his hand. He just bolts straight for the locker room or some crap like that. So that's what I got. It's a wild prediction. What do you want?
That would be wild. I was watching some Harbaugh clips yesterday. They had media day yesterday or a couple days ago. Everyone's asking this guy about the Chargers because there's been so much linked to the Chargers job with him. So I think we're going to get to the post-game presser, and he's going to be talking about J.J. McCarthy, and he's going to slip up, and he's accidentally going to call him Justin Herbert, and Twitter's just going to explode. Whoa, he accidentally called J.J. McCarthy like Justin McCarthy. It's going to be like Justin Herbert. It's going to be crazy.
Is that your wild prediction or your fantasy?
What?
Is that your wild prediction or fantasy?
I'm not going to be mad if they get Harbaugh, but I want Ben Johnson so bad. But if they get Harbaugh, I'm not going to be that upset.
I mean, he did coach at San Diego State. That's right. They're not in San Diego anymore.
Yeah.
I still screw that up. They're the San Diego Chargers to me forever.
Yeah.
All right.
Aaron's prediction is the one that's going to come true.
Well, let's see. Let's see what Aaron's prediction is on the final score of the Rose Bowl. What do you got, Aaron?
Final score of the Rose Bowl. I am not confident in this. I have flip-flopped so many times. I'm going Michigan 23, Alabama 20. It is hard for me to pick against Saban with this much time to prep, but at the same time, I'm like, man, Michigan has been in a lot of these playoff games. I know they've been losing, but I feel like they're almost due for a win. I like J.J. McCarthy more than I like Jalen Milroe at the end of the day. I just do. In this matchup, I'm going to go with the better quarterback, even though I don't feel great about it. I'm going Michigan 23, Alabama 20.
Nash?
I mean, honestly, I got Bama winning by if I had to really if you gave me a truth serum and you said what's going to happen, I think Bama's going to win. I think Bama's going to win by a touchdown, 10 points. But at the same time, man, I mentioned it. If Texas goes out there and we play Michigan, if we beat Washington and we beat Michigan, we'll be the only college football playoff team and the 4-team playoff to have beaten all other 3 teams in the playoff. And that's just a flex that I want that nobody else will have. So I got Michigan Tech 27, Alabama 24. But you could flip flop the score. This is going to be a good game.
It is going to be a good game. It's good setup for the Sugar Bowl. It's going to be fun to just watch this game. I'm with you guys. 1 minute I want to pick Alabama, the next I want to pick Michigan. I just don't know which way to go on this one. At the end of the day, I just feel like Bama has played. Look, I know Michigan's history in the playoffs. God, they suck. Like, they just whatever it is with Harbaugh, and Saban has a history, a long storied, greatest of all time history of when chips are on the line, he wins. But this Bama team just does not. They still don't impress me. Like, I see, it's not just the Auburn game. I can write off Auburn as being a rivalry game, right? Weird things happen in rivalry games. But Arkansas is not a rivalry game, and they look like crap against Arkansas. They play kind of to the level of the opponent, and if this is close, I'm gonna give the edge to Michigan barely. I don't love it, but I'm going to say 24-21. I think it's a field goal game either way you slice it. Whether you could flip flop those scores. I don't.
That's what Duke thinks of your take right there.
Yeah,
Dude,
that's what he thinks about you saying Alabama's not good. No, I'm kidding.
on a hardwood floor, that guy is just chilling. He's out.
He's having, and there's a little bit of a draft coming down too right there. So perfect spot. I will say to what we just said about like how close this game is, could flip flop both ways. I just can we thank you to the College Football Playoff Committee.
Yep.
We not having Florida State in this godforsaken mess. Like this is because that's what it would. It would be a godforsaken mess had Florida State made it in the playoff above Alabama. Like we'd be sitting here going, it's Michigan by a mile. Is there like we'd be pretending to maybe have a little bit of thought. I don't know. Thank you for making a tough decision for us, playoff committee.
We had a lot of bowls to pick, but I do want to pick the rest, the final 4 games of the New Year's 6. So let's go through these quickly because we are way late. So you started it, Nash. Who do you got in the Orange Bowl? It's Georgia, Florida State. Georgia are 20-point favorites. Over under 44.5. Who are you picking?
Dogs by a million. There's nobody playing for Florida State. They don't even. Yeah, dogs by a million.
Yeah, I'm with you. FSU has their 3rd string quarterback in after Tate Rodemaker opted out. They have like 22 players or something crazy like that opted out. 20-point spread with a 44.5 total just screams something that you should be taking the points. But I struggle to see FSU scoring anything really. So I'm taking Georgia. Aaron?
Yeah, I'm going Florida State. Florida State doesn't want to be there, but people forget Georgia doesn't want to be there either. So 20 points is too many for me. I'll take Florida State plus the points. I think Georgia wins.
Talk about the best quarterbacks, though. Georgia's got the best quarterback by a mile in this one. So that one's an easy pick for me. The Cotton Bowl tonight, Ohio State, Missouri. I'm actually kind of intrigued by this one. I think this is going to be a good game. Ohio State's quarterback, though, is in the transfer portal. He has not landed anywhere yet, has he? Yeah, I don't think so either. I like the way Missouri has played this year. OSU, by the way, Ohio State, 3.5-point favorites, 48.5 total. I like the way Missouri's played this year. I love their offense. It'll be nice to see Ohio State go up against an offense that's actually functional. Give me Mizzou.
McCord's actually at Syracuse, which holy crap, Ohio State to Syracuse.
That's right. Yeah.
That's a fall from grace.
I'm going Mizzou. Yeah, I mean Ohio State surely has more opt-outs in this one. I think Mizzou wins this one outright.
Yeah, I'm going with Mizzou too. I just think that they're kind of more into this bowl game than Ohio State would be.
We're sweeping it with Mizzou there. Peach Bowl, Ole Miss versus Penn State. Penn State, 4.5-point favorites. Much like the Cotton Bowl we just picked, this is SEC versus Big Ten. Big Ten favored in both games. Penn State 4.5, over under 48.5. Same total for both games. The only difference is, the 3.5 versus 4.5. And in both games, I'm picking the SEC team with an offense that's going up against the non-offensive Big Ten team. Give me Ole Miss over Penn State.
Yeah, I think that with the recruiting class, the transfers that Ole Miss has gotten, it's clear that Ole Miss, they're going to try and make a run next year for the college football playoff and the national championship. So I think this is the first step to this. I think that this team's going to be dialed in. I like Ole Miss.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. I'm going to go Ole Miss too. I like him outright. I just think I like Jackson Dart in this spot. I think he puts up enough points and they're able to get there. So I'll take Ole Miss outright.
Love it. Final game, the Fiesta Bowl. Now, this is one where the playoff committee probably screwed it up choosing Liberty, but I don't know. We'll see. This is I'm a big fan of Liberty's coach, Jamie Chadwell. I think he's underrated. I think he should have a better job than Liberty. But alas, Liberty is where he is. They're undefeated. They're going into Tempe, take on Oregon. Oregon, 17-point favorites. The total 67.5. I kind of like the over on the over-under total. I also like Oregon in this one. I think they easily win this game. Give me the Ducks.
I feel like the feeder school always covers. Like we talked about the teams, the feeder schools that barely miss out on being the one that gets the invite to the cool bowl game, and then they just kind of give up in their non-bowl games. I think the feeder school that makes the cool bowl game usually shows up. Oregon's just got to be devastated. I mean, they were number 2 in the Vegas power ratings for a long time. I think Liberty is able to cover the 17 here.
Yeah, I just I wonder what the completion percentage is going to look like for the Oregon quarterback and how
Probably
much
good.
it's going to favor into the next year's college football playoff rankings. We'll see. Just want to go and throw that little bit of shade to Book Oregon. But yeah, I'm picking Liberty Hill for pretty much the same, or not Liberty Hill. I'm picking Liberty here for pretty much the same reasons that Aaron had said.
Yep.
That's it, fellas. That's our show. We're about to step out. When we do, hit refresh. Leave your score comments in the comments section, not the spec chat line, the comments section of the show to win a free Kelvin Banks autographed jersey. Like the show, subscribe to the channel. Those are the first 2 steps, and then correctly predict the score. Be the first to correctly predict the score. That's how you win the jersey. It's that simple. It's so simple. Even a child can do it. Although I don't think a child is legally allowed to do that. I think you got to be 18. But whatever. Guys, any final thoughts? I know we're late. Just
enjoy the game, everyone. This is don't be afraid to get hurt. Go all in. Go crazy. Yell at the TV. Don't hold back. This is what it's all about. So enjoy the game. It's gonna be crazy.
I'm just I don't know if I'm at liberty to say what I just saw, but I'm liking some things that from here. I'm liking things, and I'm liking Texas chances versus Washington. So
I love Texas's chances versus Washington in the Sugar Bowl. Guy, if you're going to the game, have fun, be safe. If you're staying at home, it's still New Year's Eve. Have fun, but be safe. We are back here Tuesday to wrap up the game. We'll be bleary-eyed, maybe even a little hungover, maybe even
I will
still
be
a
if we
little
win.
imbibed. You never know. We'll see. We'll see you back here on Tuesday. For Aaron from Orange Bloods and Nash from Texas, who loves them horns, I am Travis Gailey. Have a great holiday